It requires spiritual intelligence. And how to access spiritual intelligence? By prayers, by blessings of the Supreme Lord and His devotees. So we will begin with the prayers, and then we are discussing the 7th chapter, which is knowledge of the absolute, and we will continue from where we are. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Dagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Priyadvaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunavadi Paschata Deshadarine. Hare Krishna. Hare. So we have principally three kinds of illusion or confusion or delusion. The first is about the own self. What is the human life for? Our own identity, which is called Swarup Brahma. Swarup means our own eternal existence. And we are all divided into many designations. So many times we have discussed, if I ask you, who are you? You may cite your name. Or you may cite your designation, what you are doing. Or you may tell your father or your family's name. This is what we think that we are. So this is called the Tattva Vibhrama. Tattva means the truth, and Vibhrama means the delusion. Not knowing the reality. So we don't know who we are. Do we know who we are? We may think that we are the name. Name can be changed. We may think that we are the post or position or the person that we are doing the activity or work. That also will change. It keeps on changing. So what Vibhrama of who the Supreme Lord is. We don't know who the Supreme is. Some people tell us that you are Supreme. So the second is the confusion about the who is the Supreme Truth. First, we don't know the truth. Then, of course, there is delusion about what is the Supreme Truth or the Absolute Truth. Who is he? Is he person? Or is he just light? Or is he, just the name? So in so many different religious principles, there are so many versions. But there is more of confusion than clarity. So this is the Vibhrama, the delusion. And third is, we don't know what is the process, how to achieve perfection in this human form of life. If the process is there, then we don't have the access to the process. How? Then the fourth is that we do not know what is favorable for us and what is unfavorable for us. So the result of knowledge that we gain from Bhagavad Gita, it removes in one stroke all such and illusions. So that is the purpose. It gives us the spiritual vision. It gives us the spiritual wisdom. So that is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. It bestows us knowledge, and from knowledge, we can remove all illusion and delusion. So we can cross over the ocean of suffering and miseries. Everyone is faced with so many difficult situations. But in that difficult situation, how to respond, how to react. So that knowledge is given by Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita's unique contribution is that even one has had very sinful life, or he had very sinful past. Even if such a person takes to the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita can purify him to become the purest person. So don't worry what we were or what we have been, but we should think ahead that what we can be. That is the special contribution of Bhagavad Gita. But different people will receive it differently. Not everyone can receive it in the same way, depending on their level of understanding and faith. Some may hear once and understand. Like it is said, we are not this body, we are spirit soul. We hear this, but can we understand this? Very few can understand. Very rare. Those who are very, very pure can accept this principle. So, by hearing, what we can gain? We can gain this knowledge. So, if you come to hear, then there is possibility of receiving this knowledge. So, first is by hearing. Some may hear, but after contemplation and discussion, may be able to get some understanding. Third, some may hear, but it will take longer time because they want to have some experience in life. When they have the experience in life, and after many, many years of practice and purification, they can understand. Sorry, there is some network issue. There is some today network issue. So the internet is not stable. So I, apologize again and again. The network is breaking. So one of the reasons is that Krishna is speaking this chapter is to impart faith and knowledge about the Supreme Lord. And this knowledge about the Supreme Lord can be received by the process of hearing. So he glorifies the process of hearing. Krishna says, Maya Sakta Mana Partha Yogam Yunjam Madashraya Asanshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Gyashashi Tat Shunu. Please hear. Please hear about. And so the first three verses, Krishna glorifies this knowledge. And he says that what Krishna is going to reveal through Bhagavad Gita is both knowledge and realization. Jnanam teham savijnanam. That was the second verse. But how many will be the recipients of this knowledge? Not many. Manushyanam sahasreshu. Very few people. Those who are actually interested in their own welfare. Those who are interested to get perfection in life. Those who want to achieve spiritual advancement. And then what Krishna spoke, he elaborates. What is the jnanam? So he explains that how to see Krishna's presence in this material existence. So he gave how many examples? Anyone remembers? Yeah. How many examples he gave? Okay, some of the examples that you remember. Yeah, yes. Prabha Asmi Shashi Suryayo. That I am the light of both the sun and the moon. Okay, very good. Yeah. Yes, I am the taste of water. Very good. Huh? Strength and power of all those who are possessing power. Very good. Balam balvatam chaham. Kamaraga vivarjitam. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu. Kamo asmi bharatashapa. And in this, Krishna explains that how we can see his existence in the material universe. Even if one does not have knowledge about the Supreme Lord, one can relate to the Supreme Lord by seeing his energies, by seeing his expansions in the form of the sun, the moon, the tasting the water, and chanting the mantra Om. He is the fragrance of earth. So whatever we see which is productive, whatever gives any yield or result, it is the extension of the Lord's energy. So with the energy, what we can do? We can know the energetic. We can connect to. That is the broad way of be able to connect to the Supreme Lord. Like I give you one example. Like I came today here in the IARI, I saw many security persons. And they were standing with their weapons, their guns. So immediately what comes to the mind? That there is some government program. Isn't it? Some ministers are coming or some prime ministers are, persons are coming. Otherwise, why the police will come? Police will not come for the common man. So what is police is the energy or the expansion of whom? Government or the prime minister. So if you see the policeman, you can connect with the government. So if we see the creation, in the creation, we can connect with the creator. The Supreme Lord is the creator. So he is giving a very graphical way how to connect to him, how to relate to him. And also how he is conveying this message. And then in the last section, he spoke about that everyone in this world is influenced by three modes. Ye cheva satvika bhava, rajasas, tamasas chaya. And everyone is under the influence of the three modes. But the Supreme Lord is beyond the three modes. And how to go beyond the influence of the modes is by surrendering to him. Please come, sit. Come a little forward. So everyone in this world, either he has to submit to the material modes or he has to submit to Supreme Lord. I'll give you one simple example. Like all of you are here studying in IARI. So what is IARI? IARI is also an extension of the government. How? Because the government has Ministry of Education, or in your case, it has Ministry of Agriculture. And through the Agriculture Ministry, there are these institutes where there is education being imparted. So you have a choice. If you study, then you can come in IARI. And who will fund? Who is funding this IARI? Government. And it is also giving you scholarship. They give you scholarship for your study. Those who are studying outside, what they do? They have to pay. Huh? They have to pay, and they have to pay a lot of fees. If post graduation is to be done or any specialization is to be done, there are lakhs of rupees every year they have to pay. But in your case, you receive lakhs of rupees every year, isn't it? So what a privilege. But on the other hand, if somebody does not obey the government, does not follow the rules and regulation, he opposes the government or he uh, infringes the laws, then which ministry will take care? Which ministry will come into force? The crime or the police. Crime or the police will come force. So similarly, everyone in this world has a choice. Either we can accept the authority of the Lord, the Supreme Lord, and be relieved from the influence of the material energy. Or if we don't accept the authority of the Lord and don't surrender to Him, then we have to surrender to the three modes, material. The three modes will keep us always under control. Yeah. So Krishna in the 14th verse said that if someone comes to take my shelter, if someone surrenders unto me, then he can cross beyond the influence of the three modes very easily. Very easily. Like if you know the Prime Minister, if you know the Prime Minister, then for you, the Superintendent of Police or any other minister, can he create trouble for you? No. He has to cooperate. Otherwise, he will lose his job. He cannot afford to take, panga with you because he will be off his job. So similarly, everything is controlled by the Supreme Lord. And those who take shelter of the Supreme Lord gives him a privilege that he goes beyond the influence of the three modes. Okay. But if knowledge of the Supreme Lord is liberation, if connection with the Supreme Lord is liberation, and those who refuse, but so why is it difficult for those who are intelligent and learned people? The question comes, if taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, one can become free from all miseries and suffering. Why people are not taking shelter of the Supreme Lord? Why they are suffering? If the knowledge and the connection with the Supreme Lord is freedom, then why everyone is in bondage? Why they are suffering? Like some foreigner may come in this country, India, and they say that in India, illiteracy rate is very high. So if he comes and says people are very illiterate, that means there are no institutes of education. Does it mean that there is no institute of education? There are. What is the difficulty? That those who are illiterate, they do not have the desire. They do not have the interest to study. So Krishna will explain that why people are not taking shelter of Krishna, why they are not surrendering to Krishna. So he explains in the 15th verse. So I will explain the 15th verse. Today it has a long purport. So I'll try to explain the purport also. So Krishna says, Namam dushkitino mudha prapadyante naradama. बोलिए नामाम दुष्कृतिनो मूढ़ा प्रपद्यन्ते नराधमा मायया पृता ज्ञान आसुरं भावम् आश्रिता नामाम दुष्कृतिनो मूढ़ा बोलिए प्रपद्यन्ते नराधमा मायया पृता ज्ञान आसुरं भावम् आश्रिता. Any one of you repeat? Holy. Simple. Take word by word. Namam dushkritino mudha prapadyante naradhama maya prita jnana Asuram bhavam ashrita. Namam drushkiti no mudha. Prapadyante naradhama. Mayaya prita jnana. Asuram bhavam ashrita. Anyone else? Right?
Namam dushkrito mudha
Namam drushkiti no mudha.
prapadyanti naradma
Prapadyante naradhama. Mayaya aprita
bhava
ashrita. Mayaya aprita jnanam. See, the words are namam. Ma means unto me. And na means that they never unto me. What they do, they don't surrender. Who are these four kind of people? Who do not submit to Krishna, who do not accept the authority of Krishna. So Krishna is very importantly giving. So if we are having some reluctance or we are having some, doubts, so Krishna is giving the reason for that, that there are four kinds of people who do not take to my shelter. What are these four kind of people? The first is says, so these all four types of people are Dushkritina. Dushkritina means those who are miscreants. Miscreants means that those who are always doing those activities which are impious and sinful. So sinful people or those who are miscreant, they do not take my shelter. Like you have seen in our school days also, there were some of the students who were very mischievous. They used to get maximum punishment from teacher. You know? And the teacher also always used to know that who are the mischievous elements. But those mischievous students, they never ever change. Do they change? They don't change. So Krishna also knows that these are the four categories of people who do not take my shelter. So they are all called Dushkritina. They are the miscreants because they perform all kind of sinful and impious acts. So the first category is called the Mudha. Namam Dushkritino Mudha. Mudha is the first category. Mudha means those who are grossly foolish. Foolish person, whom do we call foolish person? Who does not have common sense, who does not apply his intelligence. So they are Mudha. And Prapadyante Naradhama. Prapadyante means to take shelter. What is the second category? They are Nara. That means they are in the human form of life, but they are Adhama. Adhama means below, fallen. Although they are in the human form of life, but their consciousness is polluted. Their intelligence is contaminated. They are very fallen. So they are called Naradhama. Third category is Mayaya Aparita Jnana. So the category itself denotes that they have some jnana. They have some knowledge. They're very learned people. They may be scholars. They may be, academicians. They may be even scientists. But their knowledge is covered with illusion. Maya aprita jnana. So their knowledge is covered with illusion. And what are the fourth category? It is asurim bhavam ashrita. Asurim means demoniac. The fourth category of the people is who have demoniac category. Demonic category means what? You see in today's world, demonic, terrorist, or extremist, or rebellious people. What they do? They try to kill and harm the innocent people. They are very aggressive, aggressors. So these four categories of people, they are called, first what Krishna is saying, that they are all dushkritina. They do not have any good karma. They don't have any pious karma. On the contrary, what they have performed? They have performed sinful action. And they are classified in four. One is the mudha. Mudha means foolish. Second is Naradhava. Although they are in the human form of body, but they are very fallen. Their consciousness is very contaminated. Third is Maya Prithyana. Although they have knowledge, but the knowledge is covered with illusion. And fourth is those who are grossly demoniac. So such persons can never accept the, if to such fourth kind of people, if you give them good advice, what they will do? They will reject it. They will not accept it. Why? Because if they accept it, they will not remain in the fourth category. Na? Their category will change. But they are very determined to remain in this category. Okay. So those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among the mankind, grossly foolish is Mudha, lowest among the mankind is Naradhama, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion. This is Maya Aprit Jnana, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demon. This is Asurin Bhavam. Do not surrender unto. So we come to know about these four kind of people when we preach. So we can come to know that in which category they are. And however good you give them, what they will do, they will only argue. They'll argue, but they will not accept. So it is said in the Bhagavad Gita that simply by surrendering oneself unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Krishna, one can surmount the stringent laws of material nature. At this point, a question arises, how is that educated philosophers, scientists, businessmen, administrators, and all the leaders of ordinary men do not surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna? So the question is raised here, that if by surrendering to Krishna, everything can be solved, then why this big, uh, plans and perseverance for great many years and births. So many people are trying, but they are not trying the way it is recommended by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. They are trying in their own way. You see, the wheel has been invented. Wheel has been invented. So what you have to do? You have to utilize the wheel and reach to your destination. But if you think that I will invent another type of wheel, then what will happen? Will you ever reach the destination? You will never reach the destination. So how perfection is to be achieved is already given in Bhagavad Gita. And it is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. But why those people, such people, they do not accept the authority of Krishna. And they try to find their own ways. Here it is said that liberation is possible simply surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then why these intelligent and hardworking leaders adopt this method? Then why don't these intelligent and hardworking people and leaders adopt this simple method? What is the difficulty? Why they are not accepting? The Gita answers this question very frankly. Those really learned leaders of society like Brahma, Shiva, Kapila, Kumara, Manu, Vyasa, Deval, Asit. These are all big authorities, spiritual authorities. Prahlad, Bali, and later on, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Sri Chaitanya, and many others who are faithful philosophers, politicians, educators, scientists, etc., surrender unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Person, the all-powerful authority. Those who are not actually philosophers, scientists, educators, administrators, etc., but those who pose themselves as such for material gain, do not accept the plan or path of the Supreme Lord. There is a huge difference. So those who are actually scientists means one who knows the Supreme Lord, who knows the science of this entire material nature. How can he know the material nature? if he knows the Supreme, if he has the connection. But one who does not know the Supreme, one who does not know about himself, but he says he is a scientist. If somebody says he is a scientist, I may ask him, what is the science of life? Can any scientist explain? What is the difference between a living body and a dead body? If science has the answer, what is that life-giving element in the body? What is that? Where is Atma? Can science define what is Atma? Huh? Why the body is called dead? When something which is invisible, which is indetectable, which is immeasurable, how can it be the life force? So, this is what Prabhupada is explaining. That those who are not actually philosophers, scientists, educators, administrators, but pose themselves as such for material good. So why they are taking this position? For material gain. Do not accept the plan or path of Supreme Lord. They have no idea of God. They simply manufacture their own worldly plans and consequently complicate the problems of material existence in their vain attempt to solve them. Because material energy nature is so powerful, it can resist the unauthorized plan of the atheist and baffle the knowledge of planning communities. So for them, Lord does not have to make any other separate plan. How such persons are dealt? They are dealt with the plans of the material energy. The material energy is sufficient to deal with all such people. The atheistic plan makers are described herein by the word Dushkritina or miscreants. Okay. So Kriti means one who has performed meritorious work. Those who have performed meritorious work means those who have performed pious work. Those who have good results. They are called Kriti. And Dushkriti means that those who do not have any pious work. So what kind of work they have performed? Impious work or sinful work. The atheist plan maker is sometimes very intelligent and meritorious. Also by gigantic plan, good or bad, must take intelligence to execute. But because the atheist brain is improperly utilized in opposing the plan of the Supreme Lord, the atheistic plan maker is called Dushkriti. Although they have intelligence, they have the ability, but they use it not for the right purpose. They use it for the wrong purpose. What is the wrong purpose? They do not accept the plan of the Lord, but they oppose. And what they propose? They propose their own plan. They say that their plan is better than the Lord's plan. Give some example. Some example you can think of. One example I can give you. Like the communism. What the communist people said? That there is no God. Or we do not need God in our life. So what happened? How many years the communism has continued? It came and it is now getting over. It is already over in Russia. And in China also it is on the verge of collapse. Why? Because it is a farce. What they were thinking? That by their own propaganda, they can overcome the plan of the Lord. Can anyone do that? Is it possible for anyone? No. So such people are called Dushkritina. In the Gita, it is clearly mentioned that material energy works fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. It has no independent authority. It works as the shadow moves in accordance with the movements of the object. But still, material energy is very powerful, and the atheist, due to the godless temperament, cannot know how it works. Nor can he know the plan of the Supreme Lord, under illusion and the modes of passion and ignorance. All his plans are baffled, as is the case of Hiranyakashipu and Ravana. So Prabhupada is citing the example of two kind of people, famous personality, rather the infamous person, that Ravan. He did not accept any plan of Lord Ram. And anyone who accepted the plan of Lord Ram, he kicked him and killed him. Under illusion and the mode of passion. Passion is the mode which makes the person become blind. Why he becomes blind? Because he wants to enjoy this matter. He wants to enjoy this world. And ignorance means completely darkness. So all the plans of Ravan was spoiled. Huh? Yeah. हाँ, very good. इसका आंसर ऊपर दिया था, आपने ध्यान नहीं दिया. But those who pose themselves as such for material gain. वो शिव जी का भक्त क्यों था? शिव जी की आराधना करने के लिए क्या? शिव जी से क्या लेता था वो? शिव जी, हाँ हाँ, वो शिव जी का भक्त था क्या? भक्त का मतलब क्या होता है? सेवा करने की इच्छा. उसकी शिव जी की सेवा करने की इच्छा थी क्या? उसकी तो इच्छा पार्वती को पाने की थी. हाँ, तो वो भक्त था. सब जितनी भी लेडीज हैं उनको सबको उसी नजर से देखता है. तो शिव जी को भक्ति क्या करते हैं? शिव जी से खाली उसको क्या चाहिए था? पावर, वेपन्स, और उन्हीं के ऊपर यूज कर रहा. अगर मिल जाए तो उन्हीं के ऊपर यूज करें. तो ऐसे लोग फिर वो भक्त है. इसलिए प्रभुपाद जी देखिए बहुत ध्यान से सुनिए. प्रभुपाद जी इसलिए लिख रहे हैं कि दोज हु पोज देमसेल्व्स बट दे आर नॉट एक्चुअली. So such people are hypocrites. So whose plans were smashed to dust, although they were both materially learned as scientists, philosophers, administrators, and educators. These Dushkritanas or miscreants are of 4 different patterns as outlined below. So what are these 4 types we discussed? We'll discuss one after the other. First is the Mudhas. Mudhas are those who are grossly foolish. An example Prabhupada gives like hard-working beast of burden. What is the beast of burden? Ass, Gadha. Why? They want to enjoy the fruits of their labor by themselves and they do not want to part with them for the supreme. So you have seen the beast. It is called the burden of beast. Why? Because what the grass is what is required by an ass to survive. What does a donkey require? He requires little grass. And for that grass, does he have to carry so much of load? Grass is available or not? But he is so foolish, he will not get the grass. So these are karmis. Karmis are those people who work very hard. But why they work hard? To enjoy harder. You have heard this? Work hard, party harder. सुना? तो ये उसी प्रकार के लोगों का वर्णन. Why? Because they want to enjoy the fruits of their labor by themselves and so do not want to part with them for the supreme. The typical example of the beast of burden is the ass. The humble beast is made to work very hard by his master. The ass does not really know for whom he works so hard day and night. He remains satisfied by filling his stomach with a little bundle of grass, sleeping for a while under the fear of being beaten by his master, and satisfying his sex appetite at the risk of being repeatedly kicked by the opposite party. The ass sings poetry and philosophy sometimes, but his braying sound only disturbs others. This is the position of the foolish fruitive workers who does not know for whom he should work. He does not know that karma action is meant for yajna, sacrifice. So most of the people in this world, they come in this first category. What is the first category? That the more money that they have, the more they can enjoy. So day and night, they have only one mission. What is the mission? Is to have as many currency and dollars. Yeah. Most often, these who work very hard day and night to clear the burden of self-created duties. They say that they have no time to hear the immortality of the living things. So this is our present population. We come here to speak of the immortality of the human being. Out of how many, more than 2,000 students in IARI, how many are coming to here? This is what they say. They say they have no time to hear of the immortality of the living being. To such mudas, material gains, which are destructible, are lives all in all. They have time. They can spend time on mobile for hours and hours. But to hear about the Supreme Lord, or to hear about the self, to know the mission of the human life, they have no time. Despite the fact that the Mudas enjoy only a very small fraction of their fruit of labor. Sometimes they spend sleepless nights and days for fruitive gains. And although they may have ulcers or indigestion. So we see the more the person becomes rich, the more he has resources, uh, the more he is diseased, both bodily and mentally. Uh, So he may have money, but with that money, he cannot go and enjoy in a five-star hotel every day. Why? Because he has problems of indigestion. He has diabetes. And here Prabhupada is saying he also has ulcers and indigestion. They cannot enjoy. Whatever facilities or whatever resources they have, but they cannot enjoy. Sometimes they spend sleepless days and nights for fruitive gains, and although they may have ulcers or indigestion, they are satisfied with practically no food. They are simply absorbed in working hard day and night for the benefit of illusory masters. Ignorant of the real master, the foolish worker wastes his valuable time serving Mammon. Unfortunately, they never surrender to the Supreme Master, all masters. Nor do they take time to hear of him from the proper sources. The Prabhupada gives an example. Prabhupada gives an example that the swine who eats the gnawed soil do not accept sweet meats. You know what is a swine? Pig. What is pig found of? What is the most likely food of the pig? Stool. Stool. If you give the pig stool and if you give the pig halwa, what it will eat? Stool. It will reject the halwa and it will eat the stool. This is what Prabhupada is saying. So such people, they are so foolish. Similarly, the foolish worker will untiringly continue to hear of the sense-enjoyable tidings of the flickering mundane world, but will have very little time to hear about the eternal living force that moves the material world. So they will never come to take knowledge of the Supreme Lord. They will never come and join the association. They will never come to clear the understanding of what the Supreme Lord is. So these people, and they are very busy day and night. What are they busy for? To perform impious activity, sinful activity, for which they are suffering now, and that will continue them to suffer in the future lives. So then they are very busy. You ask them to come, they will never come. They have no time. Because they do not know what is beneficial. Like if somebody does not have intelligence, what do we say? That person is like a Gadha. Gadha means he has no brains. He has no intelligence. So Krishna is saying that those people who do not have any intelligence, those who do not have any discrimination power, most important part of intelligence is to be able to discriminate If intelligence is there, it should be able to discriminate what is actually good and what is not. And even after seeing and experiencing that what is actually good, still if one goes for something which is destructive, such a person is called foolish. You have heard that story, na? When the king sent someone to find the most foolish person in his kingdom. So who was caught? One person was caught. He was cutting the branch on which he was sitting so that he can fall. So he was brought to the king and said that this must be the most foolish person. Because he is cutting the same branch from where he is sitting so that he can fall. So similarly, what we are doing the same thing. What is the cutting the branch compared to? Our spending of years and days and nights. What are we doing with our days and nights? Not utilizing for self-realization. So what we are doing? We are cutting the branches gradually, and the branch will be cut. One day the lifespan will be over. And where we will go? After this life, what will be the destination? What will be the goal? Do we have any knowledge? Do those who left us, did they have any knowledge? Yeah. So this kind of people are called grossly foolish. Mudha. Then second category. Another class of Dushkritina, Dushkriti or miscreant is called the Naradham, or the lowest of the mankind. Nara means human being and Adhama means the lowest. Out of 8,400,000 different species of living beings, there are 400,000 human species. You know that, na? Out of 84 lakh yonis, 8,400,000. Human species are 400,000. This is also very, very astounding. 400,000. In the category of human beings, there are 400,000 categories. How to demarcate? Everyone has the same nomenclature. The eyes are two only, the nostrils are two. The nomenclature is the same. But then how to differentiate? What is the basis of differentiation? Huh? Yes, their consciousness. Their consciousness are different. That is why we find no two people are same. There is always difference. So there are 400,000 levels in human consciousness. Out of these, there are numerous lower forms of human life, which are mostly uncivilized. Like we see in the forest and all, what we call them? Aborigines. You've heard about the Aborigines? They are in the human form of life, but they don't look like human. They live like animals. They will hunt and eat the animal raw. Most of them will remain naked. And where they live under the trees. We have heard about so many of them, like the Red Indians, or what is this called? Yeah, the tribals. Many times we call them as tribals. The civilized human beings are those who have regulative principles of social, political, and religious life. So, who are civilized? On the basis of some regulation. Very important. Human life is a life of regulation. Animal life, there is no regulation. So, what kind of regulation? In social, political, and religious life. Those who are socially and politically developed, but who have no religious principles, must be considered Narathas. Those who are socially and politically developed. So today's world, you see, people are, more of them are economically developed. They are economically developed. But they are not developed in the religious principles. Such people are also called Narathas. So they must be considered Narathas. Nor is religion without God religion. Because the purpose of following religious principle is know the supreme truth and man's relation with him. What is the purpose of following the religion is to revive our relation with the Supreme Lord. That who we are and who the Lord is and what is our connection. To find the connection, to find the relation. In the Gita, the personality of Godhead clearly states that there is no authority above him and that he is the supreme truth. The civilized form of human life is meant for man's reviving his lost consciousness of his eternal relation with the supreme truth, the personality of Godhead Krishna, who is all powerful. So, in this human form of life, we have this opportunity. What is the opportunity? To revive our true nature, to who we are, and what is our relation with the Supreme. So, having received this human form of life, and one does not attempt to make a solution to this problem, whoever loses this chance is classified as Narayana. So, those who are not awake in self-realization, those who are not awake in God realization, what is their level? They are in the human form of life. They are Nara, but they are Adhama. They are the lowest. They are the lowest in the human form of life. We get information from revealed scriptures when the baby is in the mother's womb, an extremely uncomfortable situation. He prays to God for deliverance and promises to worship Him alone as soon as he gets out. To pray to God when he is in difficulty is natural instinct of every living being because he eternally related with God. ऐसा होता है जब हम मुसीबत में हैं तो भगवान याद आते हैं, लेकिन जैसे ही मुसीबत से बाहर हो जाते हैं तो भगवान को भूल जाते हैं. But after his deliverance, the child forgets the difficulties of birth and forgets his deliverer also, being illusioned by Maya, the illusionary energy. It is the duty of the guardian of children to revive the divine consciousness dormant in them. The 10 process of reformatory sacrifice ceremonies as enjoined in the Manusmriti, which is the guide to religious principles, are meant for reviving God consciousness in the system of Varnashrama. So in the Vedic system, there is this provision that there is samskaras. Samskaras means the proper impressions. When the child is born, there are some ceremonies. And when he is given the education, then also there is some ceremony. When he goes to school, there is some ceremony. When he gets married, there is some ceremony. So every time there is a religious ceremony. And what the ceremonies gives? It gives the reformation. So this was followed, but now what is the system? There is no ceremony. There is no actual religious ceremony of giving the positive samskara. However, no process is strictly followed now in any part of the world. No one is following this samskaras. Therefore, 99.9% of the population is Naradhava. Yes. 99.9. And among the 99.9 is including ourselves. Why? Because we are not utilizing this human life for what it is bestowed to us. Human life is given to us to know who we are and to liberate us from the cycle of birth and death. Are we attempting that? Are we attempting that? If we are not attempting that, then we are not utilizing the human form of life for the purpose for which it is given. The Prabhupada is writing that this is 99.9% of the population is fallen because they have fallen from their position, from their principle, from their primary duty. But don't lose hope. In the next paragraph, Prabhupada will say that all the Naradhamas can also become Uttama. The process of Krishna consciousness is to uplift the Naradhamas to become Uttama. Okay. When the whole population becomes Naradama, naturally all their so-called education is made null and void by the all-powerful energy of physical nature. According to the standard of the Gita, a learned man is one who sees on equal terms the learned Brahmana, the dog, the cow, the elephant, and the dog eater. That is the vision of a true devotee. Sri Nityanand Prabhu, who is the incarnation of Godhead as Divine Master, delivered the typical Naradhama, the brothers Jagai and Madhai, and showed how the mercy of a real devotee is bestowed upon the lowest of mankind. So the Naradhama, who is condemned by the personality of Godhead, can again revive his spiritual consciousness only by the mercy of a devotee. So we are maybe in a Naradhama situation. And Krishna is saying that these people will never come to. But if one comes to get the mercy of a devotee, then he can be uplifted. He can be redeemed. Redeemed समझते हैं ना? He can be reclaimed. He can be redeemed from the position of Naradhama to become a devotee of Krishna. This is what Srila Prabhupada did. Where Prabhupada went to preach? To America. They were all saintly persons, Brahmanas there, learned scholars. What were they? Naradhama. And what they become? They became Narottama. They became Narottama. How? By the association and in association with devotee. And what one has to do in association with devotee is to hear the message. Like what we are doing here, what we are hearing, whose message we are hearing? Krishna's message. We are not hearing anyone else's message. So this is the very powerful method. The lowest amongst human beings can be delivered by the submissive hearing process only. But unfortunately, they even refuse to give oral reception. To these messages, and what to speak of surrendering to the will of the Supreme Lord. Naradhamas of the lowest mankind willfully neglect the prime duty of human. So this is the definition of Naradhama. What is Naradhama? One who neglects the prime duty of human life. What is the prime duty of human life? Is self-realization. He may be busy in all other things, as we were explaining, in self-appointed duties. What is self-appointed duties? Which is from our own likes and dislikes. Now that I have a family, I want a big house. I want a bigger house than the house of my relatives. So I have to work very hard and I have to accumulate money. So what kind of duty? Is it the prime duty of human life? I have to have a big car, a better car, a bigger car. Is it the prime duty of human life? So everyone is into this kind of self-appointed duty. And in this self-appointed duty, what they are doing? They have forgotten the prime duty of human life. So those who have forgotten the prime duty of human life, those who are not pursuing the prime duty of human life, although they are in this human form of life, but they are fallen from the human standard. So that is why Prabhupada is saying 99.9% of the population is Narada. Agree or disagree? So, but the point is, we agree also and we want to remain Naradhama also. What kind of agreement is this? So this is called awake. We should awaken. We should not remain in this ignorance position. Tamsoma Jyotirgama. Mrityorma Amritgama. That is the purpose of coming in this association. That what we do, we uplift us. We go beyond the delusion of darkness and ignorance. and we come to the light of knowledge, which Krishna is imparting. Okay, what is the time? Huh? So I have to stop. 9:15 is quite a time. पूरा नहीं हो पाएगा. पूरा करने के लिए थोड़ा एक्सप्लेन भी करना है ना, समझना भी है. अभी हमने बताया कि कितने प्रकार के लोग हैं. 5 प्रकार के लोग. फर्स्ट क्लास कौन है? जो एक बार सुन के स्वीकार करता है. वैसे उतने फॉर्चुनेट पीपल किधर है? मुझे तो आज तक एक भी नहीं मिला. जो एक बार सुन के स्वीकार कर ले. सेकंड लेवल पे कौन है? वो है जो सुनने के बाद थोड़ा टाइम लेना चाहते हैं, उसको ट्राई करना चाहते हैं, उसको एक्सपीरियंस करना चाहते हैं, उसको खुद से परखना चाहते हैं कि ये वाकई सच है या नहीं, विल इट वर्क फॉर मी और नॉट. सेकंड क्लास. तो जब देखते हैं इट इज वर्किंग, दे विल एक्सेप्ट. थर्ड क्लास वो है जो उनको समझ के भी नहीं स्वीकार कर पाते. क्यों? क्योंकि उनकी बहुत सारी ऐसी हैबिट्स हैं, ऐसी एसोसिएशंस हैं, इस प्रकार के उनके एक्टिविटीज. तो एक्सपीरियंस होगा भी, लेकिन तब भी वो क्या करते हैं? एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते. और पांचवे क्लास कैसे हैं? जो कभी एफर्ट भी नहीं करते. तो हम डिसाइड करने कि हम कौन सी क्लास में रहना चाहते हैं. 5 लेवल या अपना एक छठा लेवल क्रिएट करना चाहते हैं. So I'll stop here. We will continue next time. The other 2 categories also very interesting is Maya Aprit Jnana. They have knowledge, but what they do, they misuse that knowledge, not to submit and surrender to Krishna. And then the Asurim Bhav. Okay. तो बताइए, अभी आपका कोई प्रश्न है या डाउट है तो पूछिए.
हम लोग फर्स्ट कैटेगरी में हैं.
फर्स्ट कैटेगरी में
मतलब हम लोग सब चीज एक्सेप्ट कर लिए हैं.
काफी एक्सेप्ट कर लिए. हाँ, कृष्णा जो बता रहे हैं कि राग द्वेष विमुक्तेषु, गिव अप योर लाइक्स एंड डिसलाइक, वो हम एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हैं. ये भी एक प्रकार से माया अपृत ज्ञान है. हम एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते हुए भी हम समझ रहे कि हमने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया. सुनिए, देखिए, भगवत गीता आके अगर खाली आप सुनते भी है ना, अर्जुन ने क्या किया? हाँ, अर्जुन ने पहले तो अपनी ड्यूटी करने से मना कर दिया, और बाद में उसने सब कौरवास को इंक्लूडिंग भीष्म और द्रोणा को किल किया. कैसे कि क्या चेंज हुआ? हाँ, उसका अंडरस्टैंडिंग चेंज हो गया. कैसे चेंज हुआ? गीता सुन के. गीता सुना ना उसने, ही हर्ड वेरी हार्टली. सुनने से क्या हुआ? जो उसका कंफ्यूजन था वो क्लियर हो गया. अभी बोलेगा नष्ट मोहा स्मृति लब्धवा, माय इल्यूजन हैज बीन डिस्पेल्ड. और हमारा इल्यूजन है वो इतना डेंस है, वो इतना डार्क है, वो इतना डीप है कि लाइफ टाइम आफ्टर लाइफ टाइम भी क्या होता है? रिमूव नहीं होता है, वो और गहरा हो रहा है. तो एटलीस्ट दिस लाइफ वी शुड यूटिलाइज फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ ह्यूमन लाइफ. इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि हम आपको बोलेंगे कि आप वो मत करिए जो आप कर रहे हैं. यू स्टडी. You are meant to be studying in the student life. Out of 24 hours, you should at least dedicate 8 to 10 hours every day for your sincere academic study. If you can do that, you know what will be the result? What will be the result? If you study sincerely for 8 to 10 hours every day, 365 days, what will be the result? What will be the result? You don't know? What will be the result? You know? Huh? You will be much better. But the problem is, for that we have to come in the mode of goodness. In the mode of passion, it is not possible. In the mode of ignorance, it is not possible. You have to be in the mode of goodness. And you can give 6 to 8 hours to your body. Eating, sleeping, evacuating, bathing, all this. Not more than that. One new person joined me. He is working in my office. He is finding it very difficult to come to the temple at 9 a.m. I asked him why, क्या दिक्कत है? पर प्रभु जी उठ ही नहीं जाते. I asked him what time you sleep. मैं कहा, "वो कितनी देर तक जगे रहते?" बोले 11-12 बजे. 12 से 8 घंटे सोते. 8 hours you need to sleep. So just wasting life by sleeping. And by sleeping, what they are doing? Dreaming. Which has no connection with reality of life. Huh? What is that? Mungeri Lal ke hasi chapne. I will become this, I will become that, I will have this, I will have that. Yeah. So devotee does not waste his life like that. Be very focused. Study. All of you should become excellent student. You should excel. You should always remember the entire nation is giving you support. Not only support, they are giving you their money. And after coming here, you do not achieve anything, then you see what karma you will take. You are all getting scholarships. You are availing the scholarship. This is not your money. This is the money of the nation. And if you do not contribute, then where will that karma lead you? You follow? So become responsible. Become very responsible. You have to give it back to the country. You must find some new crop, some new breed, something that will assist the country in becoming self-sufficient, and it will increase the productivity of the country. Because as Kali Yuga will advance, there will be very scarcity of food products. The pricing is going to become very high. After COVID, I have seen such a big change. The food prices have become almost double. So you should always be very alert and very aware. Do you have that in the consciousness? कभी समझ में आता है? कभी ऐसा सोचते हैं? कभी नहीं सोचते हैं. अधिकार समझ लिया है. जाके कंप्लीट करेंगे, अरे मेरा अभी तक स्कॉलरशिप आया क्यों नहीं? Why it is being delayed? Do we have the right? Have we done anything? Do we deserve it? We never think of it. So that is called, awakening. And at least 2 hours you should spend for cultivating God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Study, chant. Why Bhagavad Gita does not come to our understanding? Because we are not pure. We are impure. In the mode of passion and ignorance, we cannot receive these principles. So because lead a pure lifestyle. In eating, sleeping, become pure. Don't remain awake after 10, or in your case, I would say after 12. Those who remain awake in the night, what are they called? Nishachar. They're demoniac. Do people do any good activity in the night? What is the best time for doing any good or pious activity? Morning. In the morning time, people are sleeping. You see? Everything they are doing self-destructive. Morning time is the best to perform meditation or study. Even I study. When I have to give some important class, I wake up very early, 2:30 or 2 in the morning, and then I study. Because at that time, whatever study that I do, it goes deeper in the consciousness. Of course, then I have to sleep at 8. Because in the night time, everything is so clouded. And the mode of ignorance is very heavy. So change according to Krishna's suggestion. Then you will receive a very favorable. And if you don't change, and if you remain, then we remain at the platform of remaining Narada. So those who are already fallen, how can they experience high? How can they experience happiness? Not possible. Okay. So thank you all for coming and hearing. And my sincere request to all of you is that please at least this 1.5 hours or 2 hours of 1 week. In 1 week, how many hours you have? 24 into 7. Huh? More than 100 hours, more than 130 or 40 hours. You at least dedicate 2 hours for hearing. And by hearing, what will come is the awakening. When you are asleep, how do you wake up? Every day, what do you have to use? Alarm. Alarm. Without alarm, modern man or woman cannot wake up. If there is no alarm, there is no wake up. Hare Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita is that alarm. It is ringing. So we must hear that sound. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare